Welcome to Thrive. I'm your host, Karli. I'm a manifestation, mindset, and empowerment coach, a free spirit, digital nomad, and a big ass dreamer. This podcast is a space for you to dream big, to create the free spirited, authentic life and purpose that you desire so that you can thrive in your life unapologetically. These episodes will give you a glimpse into my life working as a coach and mentor while traveling Australia in my caravan and inspire you to connect with and to create your own version of freedom. I'm an NLP master practitioner, mum of a fierce little Taurus girl, a rule breaker, your biggest cheerleader, and I believe that anything is possible. I'm so excited to share the magic of this episode with you, so thanks for listening and let's dive in. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Thrive. I am your host, Karli, and we're back for another episode. We're talking all about big dreams. We are talking all about making them come true. And we are talking about where the fuck to start, because this is a big question that I have been asked a lot lately. It's that question of, how did you make this lifestyle that you're living right now happen? How did you decide? How did you basically bring this big dream into fruition? And today we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about where to start with your big dreams. We're going to talk about decisions. We're going to talk about bold action. And it's going to be juicy. It's going to be fun. As per usual, let's just see where it goes. I hope you guys have had the most wonderful week. I've had a pretty cool week. I'm not going to lie. I am sitting in the location that I have dreamed of holidaying in, or dreamed of living in, or just dreamed of spending any amount of time in for, the biggest part of my adult life. And I'm here. I'm in Byron Bay. And we got here on Friday. And oh my gosh, I just instantly, as we were driving through the hills about to come into Byron, I was just blown away by how different I felt. I was blown away by how my vibe just really changed. And just I really felt like I was starting to already sink into, just such an incredible, different way of living out here. And oh my gosh, it is just such a beautiful, beautiful town. I'd only ever driven through here quite a few years ago. And now to be able to spend a couple of weeks here, at the minimum, we might even stay a bit longer because we are just all really loving it here. And I have to tell you, my little girl is just fitting in like the little flower child that she is. It's just so beautiful to see. It's such a, it's just got a really cool vibe about it in this place. So that is where I'm at. It's been, I'm just trying to think what's actually happened in this last week. Not really a lot in terms of traveling. We just literally moved from being a little bit north of Coffs Harbour, finding ourselves in Byron Bay. It's so funny. I keep going to say Bali because I'm getting legit Bali vibes here in Byron. If you've ever been, or maybe you live here, or maybe you holiday here regularly, you probably know what I'm talking about. There is just so much lush greenery, and there are just parts where I just feel like I'm in a rainforest, and then all of a sudden I'm at the beach, and then there's turkeys and big birds, and it's an actual friggin' vibe. So we are just loving it here. We're loving exploring the surrounds and just expanding and building on this big dream life that I'm creating. And this is really what I want to talk about today. As I said in the intro, one of the biggest things I'm being asked at the moment is, how the heck did you do it? And there's probably a number of layers to that question. There's probably the element of logistically, how did you make it happen? But then there's also the, how did you decide? And how did you just know that it was the right thing to do? Or how did you just take the action even when you felt all of this fear? There's all of these layers to this question. And today I'm going to just kind of break it down in what I see as the phases, or the steps, or the framework, if you like, to actually moving with your big dreams, to actually deciding that, you know what, like this is my big dream and I am going to go and do something about it. This is my big dream. I'm going to prioritize that dream over my fears. And this is something that you've probably heard me talk a lot about. A lot of this really comes down to the fact that if we're choosing not to honor and acknowledge and move with our big dreams, then we're essentially giving into the fear. We're essentially, whether it's fear of what other people are going to say, whether it's fear of it not working, whether it's fear of it failing, whether it's fear of judgment, all of those things, we're allowing those things to dictate the way that we live our life. And I know that in certain stages of my life, I've absolutely allowed my fears to drive the bus. I've allowed my fears to, kind of like run the party, so to speak. But what I've noticed is when I allow myself to actually move with those fears, to acknowledge those fears and to take action anyway, that's when my life transforms the most. That's when I can start to look around and go, oh, holy shit, like it wasn't as bad as what I thought. And look at what I'm getting to do now, or look at like the way that I'm getting to live my life now. So I would invite you to think about if there is something that is on your heart. Maybe there is something that you've been wanting to try or to do, or maybe there's a business, or maybe there's a relationship you want to pursue or end, right? Whatever the thing is, ask yourself this question. What could be on the other side of this fear? And what could my life look like if I chose to prioritize my dream and my desire of having that thing, creating that thing? What could my life look like? And I think that this is a really deep and profound question, because it really encourages you to take yourself out of your current reality right now. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They can't see past where they currently are right now. They can't see the forest for the trees. I think that's the saying. I always fuck that one up. But, you can't see through the fog of your current reality. Where our power really lies is being able to not let our current reality define us, to not let our current reality define what we get to create for our future. So try it. Ask yourself that question. See how it feels to step into that future. You can even ask yourself that question. How does it feel to step into that future version of myself? How does it feel to step into the version of me who's doing the thing, who's having the thing, even though it feels scary sometimes, or even though it may have felt scary before I moved? How does it feel on the other side? Because I'll tell you what, I remember when my house was up for sale, and it was only a few months ago now. What was it, like March, April? And I remember feeling like my house was never going to sell. And I remembered thinking, are we doing the right thing? Is this a sign that it's not meant to happen? Blah, blah, blah. All of those things came up. And I had to really actively practice taking myself out of my current reality and imagining what that future looked like. And I'll tell you what, the way that I'm sitting right now, like I'm sitting on my little couch, I'm holding my microphone. It is like the most chilled, cozy little vibe today. That was one of the things that I imagined. I imagined myself sitting here in this caravan in a beautiful location. One of the other things that I did was I started to really get clear on what that future looked like for me. And I looked at my future, the desired future that I wanted to live in. Then I looked at my current reality. And I looked at that future and I was like, what can I start doing in my current reality that is going to help cultivate those feelings of me living in that future reality? So one of the big things for me was I had this imagination and this visualization of me sitting outside in the beautiful fresh air with a coffee and just, sitting outside every morning and starting my day that way. And I was like, in the house at that point. And I was like, why don't I start doing that now? Like, why don't I actually bring some of that lifestyle into the way that I'm currently living now? So I did that with a few little things, okay? Particularly the thing with the coffee and starting my morning outside, because I never used to do that. But it was one of my dreams. And I was like, well, that is one thing that I can do now. And I'll tell you what, it made me feel like I was moving closer. It was like it was bridging that gap. It was closing that gap between where I was in my current reality as opposed to where I knew ultimately that I wanted to be. So start to even ask yourself things like that. What are the things that I can introduce into my daily life that I'm not doing now? Maybe it's that you want to get up and do yoga in the morning. Well, why can't you do it now? Well, you can. So what if you were to start 1 or 2 or 3 mornings a week doing a yoga class, or maybe even a yoga YouTube video? I love yoga with Adrienne, by the way. She's so cool. So just ask yourself, where can I start to introduce these things? Because this is what is going to help bridge the gap. Okay, I digress a little. So back to that question of how did you do it? How did you uproot your whole entire life when you have a family and you have a husband and you have a daughter and a dog? Of course, the doggo is very important. How did you do that? How did you make it happen? And so I'm going to break it down into 4 really important areas, 4 really important keys or codes. And the first one is I'm going to probably say this about them all because they are all so important. But the first one, and if we don't have this, then the subsequent 3 codes are going to mean nothing. Okay? The first code is that we must have a dream. There must be a dream. So if right now you are in your reality and you're feeling kind of stuck, or you're feeling like you don't know where you want to go, but you want something different, this is your opportunity to start to really allow yourself to craft out that dream and to allow yourself to sit with what it is that you want to create. And it's okay if you don't know just yet. This gets to be a practice and you get to refine it over time. Okay? So let yourself dream. Let yourself just script out whatever comes through your heart. Allow yourself just to sit and just be with whatever dreams want to pour out through you. And don't judge them. And don't limit yourself by saying that's not possible for me. Just allow it to come. And if you've already got your dream, that's amazing. When you've got your dream, next comes the decision. Okay, and this is the decision to bring it to life. And often this is the point where it's like the fears creep in, the doubts are louder than ever. And, if you're not actively moving through these fears, if you're not actively moving through your doubts and virtually rewriting all of your beliefs, then this is the part where it falls down. Okay, and this is the work that I'm really good at doing with my clients. I'm really good at helping my clients rewrite their entire belief system to help them move through their fears, to help them totally rewrite this dialogue that says that they can't do it, or that they can't have it, or that they shouldn't move just yet, or that they're not quite ready. Right? That is the work that I am really good at and really fucking passionate about. So the decision to bring it to life. If the decision doesn't get made, then it doesn't go any further than just a dream. Okay, and this is where a lot of people sit, right? This is where a lot of people say things like, "Oh, I wish I could do that." Like that's my dream to do that. But they don't decide to go for it. So you really need to ask yourself, am I going to be happy waking up when I'm 80, 90, 120 fucking years old, knowing that I didn't decide to make my dream a reality? Am I going to be happy with that? Or am I going to wish that I had made the decision to do something? Am I going to wish that I made the decision to move even when it felt scary, even when it felt like no one was listening, even when it felt like I wasn't going to be able to do it? Am I going to wish that I had done it? Because do you know what? If it doesn't work out, you're at least going to have a hell of a story to tell. And 99.99999% of the time, it is going to work out as long as you move, right? But it can't work out if you're not prepared to move or if you're not prepared to do anything about it. So you've got to have your dream, and then you've got to have your decision. You've got to make the decision. And you've got to be really, rock solid in that deciding. You've got to decide that this is what I want and I am going to move to get it. I'm going to move to create it. And then after the decision is made is when the bold action comes. This is what solidifies that decision. Okay, this is what tells the universe that you're serious. This is what tells the universe that you mean business. And for me, in this particular scenario, I had the dream, I'd made the decision. The bold action was then putting my house on the market. The bold action was listing all of my furniture and all of my possessions pretty much on Marketplace. That was the bold action. And this part again is where those fears are going to creep in. This part again is where those doubts are going to creep in. And I'll tell you, with every piece of furniture that walked out of my house, I asked myself, have I really fucked things up here? Or have I made the right decision? Because I don't know yet. I still don't know. But I learned to just trust. And I learned to just listen to my heart. And I really became comfortable with the knowing that whatever happens, it's going to be fine. Whatever happens, it's going to be fine. And I truly, truly believe that. So the bold action is what is going to solidify the decision. And the bold action is going to look different in every circumstance. It's going to look different for everybody. Perhaps if you're, maybe you have this business that you want to start. You have this dream and you've crafted out the dream and you decide you're going to go for it. Perhaps the bold action is creating your social media platforms. Or maybe it's working with somebody to, create a logo or a brand or whatever it is. Perhaps it's creating your offers if you're a coach or a service provider. Maybe it's working with somebody to create a product. Okay, this is the bold action, and this is going to feel scary as hell. It's going to feel scary as hell. So I encourage you, when it does feel scary, to tap back into that dream, to keep revisiting and to keep focusing on that dream, because that is what is going to get you through those scary moments. And of course, doing the work to, move through your fears, to rewrite your belief system and all of that stuff, that is going to get you through as well. But reconnecting to that dream and your vision every single day, that is what's going to help you show up when it feels hard. That's what's going to help you keep moving when it feels like nothing is working. And when it feels like nothing is working, you've got to have unwavering belief. And again, this is where a lot of people give up. And, I have lost count of how many people I've spoken to who have said, I had a dream and I decided I was going to do it and I started taking action, but it just didn't work. It didn't work. That must mean that it wasn't meant for me. Or that must mean that I wasn't good enough to make it happen. Or that just wasn't meant to be for me. Things like that. This is where you've got to just hold that unwavering belief. You've got to just hold it even when it looks like it's not going to happen. And for me, in this scenario, again, back to selling my house, I remember being on the market for like 3 weeks and we'd had a few offers, but they weren't the offers that we wanted, right? They weren't the offers that we wanted. And every time I would speak to the agent, he would tell us, he's like, yeah, look, we had another offer, but it's like, 50 grand less than what we want. And I remember he rang us one night and he's like, I've got some pretty good news. He's like, we've had an offer and it's around what you want. And we were just like, oh my God, yes. Holy shit, yes. And then the next day, they withdrew the offer because they had bought another house, which was curious. And we just couldn't believe it. We were like, oh, okay, wow. All right. Keep believing it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then we got another offer. We signed contracts. We did all the stuff. And then it got to about halfway through the cooling off period and they called off. The buyers called off. And again, we couldn't believe it. And this offer was more than what we had wanted. And we just could not believe it. And I remember at that point falling to my knees just in tears. And I was so close. I was so close to feeling like this wasn't meant for me. But instead, I chose to hold the belief. I chose to be rock solid and steadfast in my belief. And then a couple of days later, it was Easter long weekend. We opened up and we just thought we probably won't have anybody come in because, it's Easter long weekend, like who's looking for houses or whatever. We had 3 offers, all over the amount that we wanted. And to say the rest is history, one of those offers was accepted and it all went through and it was all fine. When you go for your dream, when you make the decision, when you take the action, you are going to be challenged. You are going to feel resistance. You are going to feel the fears, obviously. You are going to come up against things that feel really fucking hard. And this is where you've got to dig deep. This is where you've got to tune in. You've got to refocus and you've got to revisit that dream every single day. And you've just got to hold that belief. Because ultimately, we are going to create what we believe we are going to create. We are going to create what we expect. We are going to create what we imagine. And, for me, back in this time, I was terrified of the buyer cooling off. I was so terrified of it and I was thinking about it and the agent was talking about it. We manifested that. They called off. Like we literally created that, which for me, that was one of the biggest, lessons that I've learned around our power as creators. Our thoughts and our words and our minds and the conversations that we have are literally creating our realities and our future. So keep that in mind. I literally created the buyer to cool off. I can laugh about it now. I couldn't laugh about it back at the time. I was just like absolutely distraught. But I held that belief. And so right now, you might be in this period where your dream. You've decided it's happening. You're going for it. You're taking action. Maybe you're showing up every day. Maybe you're working on your business and you're just still, not where you want to be, or you're just, you haven't got that first elusive client just yet. But you're taking action. You feel like it's never going to happen. Check in with your belief. Okay, check in with what you believe about yourself, what you believe about the world, what you believe about other people. What do you believe? Okay, because if there is something deep down that is telling you it's not going to happen for me, then it's not going to happen for you. And that is exactly what you'll create. So start to really understand your belief system. Start to really understand the thoughts that you're having on a daily basis, on a freaking hourly basis. Check in. And the ones that aren't serving you need to be rewritten. They need to be rewritten because you will create what you believe. I'm creating this lifestyle. I have created this lifestyle because I believed in it. I dreamt it. I decided. I took action and I held belief even when it felt like everything was going against it. I held the belief. And that is what you've got to do. Because you're going to create what you believe. You're going to create what you expect. And if that's the point where you give up, when it feels hard, then of course you're not going to realize your dream. Of course you're going to go, back to your daily life, or you're going to be still sitting in your daily life feeling like, I know that there's more out there, but it just didn't work out for me, so I guess this is it. No way, fuck that. We're here for more than that. And I truly, truly believe that. I truly believe that with every fiber of my being. If you have a dream, if you have a desire, it is because it is meant for you. But it is then up to you to follow through. It's then up to you to decide to take the action and to hold that belief. So how did you do it, Karli? How did you make it happen? Selling your house, moving into a caravan. Now you're sitting in Byron Bay, the place of your absolute dreams. I allowed myself to dream. I decided I was going to have it. I took some bold as fuck action and I held the belief. Okay, guys, I've just gotten to the end of this episode and realized that my microphone wasn't plugged in for the whole ep, so I'm sorry if the sound quality is a little bit less than amazing this time. Now, if you have a big dream, or maybe you don't even know what your big dream is yet, but you know that there is something more for you, you know that there is something calling you, you're ready to uplevel your reality, DM me. Drop me a message at Karli Heinjes on Instagram. I have spaces in my one-to-one right now. The experience is unlimited. It's unlimited calls. It's unlimited Voxer access. And it is unlimited possibilities, because that is what we are going for right now. There are no limits other than the limits that we impose on ourselves. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you see who you can be when you get to release yourself of those limitations. So drop me a message. Let's see what we can create together. The experience is $2,222 per month for a minimum of 3 months. Okay, you want to make sure that we're working together for a good period of time so that you can transform. Okay, because there is no reason why you cannot transform your life. There is no reason why, if you're feeling stuck right now, maybe you are, maybe you're not, but if you are feeling stuck right now, you don't need to stay there. All right. So thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys, or you guys will hear me next week for another episode. And until then, I fucking love you. I appreciate you all so, so much. Hey sister, thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, it would mean so much to me if you would head over to your podcast provider and leave me a 5-star review. This will help us to reach more incredible humans who want to thrive in their life and be unapologetic about it. If we're not friends yet, let's connect on Instagram or Facebook. You can find me at Karli Heinjes. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, you've got this.